My name is Jan Rippingale. I am the CEO of Blue Banyan, and we have software that is business management software for the solar ecosystem. So we support manufacturers, installers, financiers, develop solar systems. And part of that mission is critical for us is that we have data standardization across the industry so that we can connect all of the interested parties in an efficient way, in a consistent way, to communicate on this common basis in our data standardization. So as part of that, we've been out in the working group, working in the working group steadily for a couple years now. And I just thought I'd give a little context for how that works. So the Department of Energy set up a grant initially for the Orange Button taxonomy development and the establishment of the working group. SunSpec Alliance was the one who received that grant to implement it. The main players in establishing the initial reference implementations here have included Blue Banyan, NREL, SunSpec, Raised Green, and Wells Fargo. And one of the first reference implementations, and there are several more in place already, but the first one and the one that appears to be incredibly impactful across the solar industry is the AHJ registry, which are authorities having jurisdiction or permitting agencies. On the roadmap, we're also working with the product code registry, and we're going to be, commercializing the monthly operating reports and on and on. So the substantial adoption that has begun over this summer came because we had a couple different pivots with Orange Button. So the first pivot is that we needed to look at that taxonomy and make some adjustments. So we have shifted some of the XBRL, we're using the same success elements that made XBRL successful and have ported them over to JSON so that we can work in a REST API using an open API structure. And this has given us access to more programmers who can develop things quickly to move this forward. We've also found that by having fewer terms that are more generalized, more object-oriented, we have been able to establish some reusability and help those programmers anticipate what's going to happen and where to find what they need. We've also incorporated some design patterns so that with the same thing that they can anticipate what it is that's going to happen. A key insight that we had in addition to this taxonomy, which is like the wrapper on a piece of candy, the only way anyone's interested in figuring out how that wrapper works is when there's candy on the inside. And that candy in our world is the data. So by marrying the taxonomy with the data with the AHJ registry, because the only API that you can use to connect to the AHJ registry is an Orange Button API, you have to figure out how the Orange Button taxonomy works, but then you get the candy on the inside. And the AHJ registry at this point is pretty simple, and it's going to grow substantially in the next few months. But basically you can send in either the geolocation coordinates or the address, and you can get back which AHJ has jurisdiction. Super simple, but many, many people are excited about it. The other key element for this is that we needed to present it as a bowl of candy. So the AHJ registry is free to the public. It is hosted by SunSpec, and it comes bundled with Solar Success for free for all of the Blue Banyan clients who have Solar Success software running their business. And in this way, we're building it into the tools. We expect it to be utilized by SolarApp. We're building it into the tools as they're developed. So by making that available, bowl of candy, who can resist?
So you got more slides, go ahead.
Oh, I've just got a couple more. So here's some early adopters. These are installers who are using the AHJ registry, as well as the next tools I'm going to talk about, but it's getting adopted by Aurora, who's doing a permit application development tool. SolarApp is doing permit application submission. Raised Green is a developer who is using it, and a customer engagement software that directly interfaces with homeowners with 17 terawatts in Bodie is also using it. So as you can see, we've got wide adoption across the industry. Here is a picture of the solar success ecosystem. You can see that the orange button is a very important concept for us, and we have labeled it, and we're starting to get adoption. So we started with the AHJ registry over here, but we have also integrated getthereferral.com, which sends in leads and then gets project status for how residential solar projects are moving along, when they get their permit, when their installation scheduled, when they actually get turned on. And same thing with a customer engagement tool with Bodhi. So we are actively sending information about residential solar projects in addition to the AHJ registry over the orange button with the orange button taxonomy.
Thank you, Jen, and I hope I'm back.
Yes, you're back. I just have one more quick thing, if it's okay.
Oh, yep.
Yep, so we're moving from innovators to early adopters, and we still need a lot of help. So as we move through this curve and we move to take over the industry, please be sure to let us know if you've got any place that you'd like to contribute and come in and help make the vision happen. One of the things that I observe about how using Orange Button affects software developers is one of the elements that you have to build into an Orange Button taxonomy is the primitives, and which include units. So one of the things that came up when we were working with a software design, working with Aurora's API, is that they started out with a residential focus. And one of their key data elements was system size. And system size of 4.5 could be a small house, it could be a small commercial, or it could be a substantial utility scale, depending on if it's kilowatts or megawatts in what you're doing. And as they are growing as a company, now they care to specify exactly what units they are using. And by shifting to an Orange Button API standard now, then they're setting themselves up to be able to work at any of those scales and to benefit, to one of the things that I observe about how using Orange Button affects software developers is one of the elements that you have to build into an Orange Button taxonomy is the primitives, and which include units. So one of the things that came up when we were working with a software design, working with Aurora's API, is that they started out with a residential focus. And one of their key data elements was system size. And system size of 4.5 could be a small house, it could be a small commercial, or it could be a substantial utility scale, depending on if it's kilowatts or megawatts in what you're doing. And as they are growing as a company, now they care to specify exactly what units they are using. And by shifting to an Orange Button API standard now, then they're setting themselves up to be able to work at any of those scales and to benefit, to bring the benefits of their technology to that entire expanse of options.
Yeah,